practitioner at Integrated Health Solution. And we're going to continue part 2 of healthy tips for enjoying outdoor summer activities. And on a day like today, we've got to take all of the stuff that Wendy teaches us into account because it's a bit of a scorcher. And first of all, good morning to you, Wendy. Trust you well.
Hi, Brad. Yes, very well, thanks. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Loving all your tips because we're starting to head into this time of year and kids are on school holidays. And so we've got to remember the sun protection and the hydration and all of these things. So whether you're young or old, all of this stuff is good. So big thanks to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such an important a thing that we don't necessarily think about. We think, oh yeah, it's hot and it's lovely, and we'll just go out, and we don't always think about how we should be protecting ourselves and what we should be doing.
So we want to have fun and we want to enjoy it and we want the memories to be good ones. Not remember that summer holiday where I burnt to a crisp. That's kind of the only thing you'll remember. So let's be smart and have the good kind of memories. Today we're starting to talk about the weather. Whatever it is that we're going to be doing, what happens if we're going to be hiking and having to climb over this and climb through that, and we need to be prepared. And in Cape Town, you've got to have a jacket, and you've got to have slip-slops and closed shoes and an umbrella and a sun hat and sunblock, all packed in for the same day.
Exactly. Yes, we have different weather in different parts of the city. You can, even be staying in the same place, and the weather can change a few times in a day. So we do have to be prepared. Luckily, we can check the weather forecast. We can have a look and see what the weather's going to be like. But there can still be unexpected things that happen with the weather. And I think we need to be prepared for those.
Yeah, what are some of the things we must not forget as we head out for the day?
So it also, if you are going to be hiking or if you're going to be going to places that you haven't been to before, maybe just do some research to make sure that you know what is the difficulty of that walk going to be, or how difficult is the trail, what sort of terrain are you going to be expecting, and then also to check that you have the proper footwear. Even something as important as the right type of socks. Make sure that your socks can absorb moisture. So cotton socks are going to be the better options. That your socks are not rubbing in your shoes, because otherwise you'll end up with these dreadful blisters on your feet. And then obviously we want to pack the essentials. So as you said, a hat, sunscreen. We want to make sure we have insect repellent, enough water with us, healthy snacks. We want to maybe have a first aid kit with us, just sort of a few essential things. Make sure that you have a charged phone with you, because that's also quite important. Many people go out and the battery's like just about to go flat. That's not very wise. And then we want to just be careful that, wherever we are going, that we're checking how stable that pathway is.
Yeah. We're grateful for these, Wendy. Sometimes we share the simplest bit of advice, and it's just that thing that we needed to know. So if someone's saying, yeah, but we know we're supposed to have all of these things, wait until you go out and you're like, if only I had worn those socks, or if only I checked this out, I would have realized that there is actually no water along this route and I should have taken more. So as simple and straightforward as it sounds, Wendy, these are things that we simply cannot miss, because if we get it wrong, it can have quite disastrous consequences.
Absolutely. And thinking, applying sunscreen, most people sort of slap it on here and there, but you might forget to put it on your toes.
Yeah.
With those toes that have been in your closed shoes for weeks or months. And you can get quite severe sunburn that can really affect the rest of your holiday, if you haven't thought about something like that. So yeah, it's just little things that you might not have thought about or just need to be reminded about.
Yeah, absolutely. This is such useful stuff. And then what about, when we're out and about, sometimes we don't realize it. We're out in the sun, been exposed. We haven't found a place to rest or found some shade. I mean, we need to also take breaks regularly from exposure of the sun and just to rest our bodies.
Yes. Yeah. So dehydration happens really quickly. And often when we have the symptoms, it's actually too late. We've already gone past that point of no return. So if we can prevent the dehydration, that will be best. So we want to seek out those shady spots. If we can use cooling towels or ice packs, portable fans, we get those mist sprayers as well. And also break up your activities into shorter time periods. So you're not, going for hours at a time, but rather break it up into 20, 30 minutes or maybe an hour maximum, so that you're not overdoing it and dehydrating yourself.
Now, you mentioned to pack in some insect repellent when we go for a hike or walk, or we could use it at any time. But there's a few things that can really spoil a situation or an evening, as a mosquito. Never mind when you're trying to sleep, but I mean, just sitting outside in a beautiful summer, sitting at a restaurant, and then suddenly these things are chowing your ankles. But
Yes.
I'm not always comfortable with slapping on all of these things that you can buy with all of these lists of chemicals. I'm just a little bit wary of this. So, what do you say about insect repellents, and are they healthy or more natural options?
There are definitely more natural options, and you get sort of non-chemical sprays as well that you could spray on yourself. But citronella is a fairly well-known one. It
Mm,
works for some, doesn't work for others. Lemon eucalyptus is another option that you could use. There are essential oils that can be made up as insect repellents as well. But yes, you do certainly get ones that are not chemical based, that you can spray on, and that can be quite effective as well.
I suppose you can cover up those areas as well. I mean, it might not, balmy
Yes,
summer's night. The last thing you want to wear are socks and shoes and long pants, but maybe that's the risk you have to take. Of course, it depends where you are.
exactly. And it could just be loose clothing that you can wear. Apparently mosquitoes like dark colors more than
Oh,
light colors. So if you wear something lighter, that might also help you. Um, and some things like even taking, I think it's vitamin B1, if I'm not mistaken. B1 or B6, one of the B vitamins, makes your blood a little bit more sour
oh,
or bitter. And that the insects don't like either.
well, that's
So
interesting.
make sure you find out which one that is first,
Yeah.
and then you could perhaps look at taking some extra of that as well, especially if you are a magnet for bugs and
Yeah,
mosquitoes.
that's kind of weird, right? You're with something like my wife and I together. The mosquitoes leave me alone; they like her. So I don't know what that's all about. So yeah, some people are more susceptible than others. Um,
One of you is sweeter than the other.
well, there you go. Let's not say which one. But now we're talking about mosquitoes here, but we're also talking about hiking and walking and whatever. I mean, then there's also possibility of other things like ticks and whatever. So particularly even if you're walking your dogs as well.
Yes, absolutely. So I think ticks are probably some of the most harmful little bugs that you can get around because they carry all sorts of infections and co-infections. So you definitely want to be checking yourself and your children and your animals for ticks. And even, we've walked along beach pathways and have picked up ticks.
Okay.
So wherever you're going, if you're outdoors, make sure that you have checked yourselves for ticks. If you have come across ticks, then just watch for any symptoms quite closely, because you can get tick bite fever, obviously,
Mm.
but some people can get quite sick from tick bites as well.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Also, a time, I guess, for more time to maybe go for walks, do some exercise, go for a run. But when we're doing it in the heat, I suppose we also need to be sensible about how and when we choose to do these more vigorous activities.
Yeah, so ideally we want to schedule our activities to be earlier in the morning and later in the evening when the weather's a bit cooler. We also want to warm up. Don't forget to warm up, because just because the weather's hot doesn't mean that our bodies are warm enough or our muscles are supple enough to be able to not get injured.
Mm.
So a warm up routine is still important. And then we need to cool down slowly to avoid sudden blood pressure changes as well.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. When we're heading out and about, I know this is we almost feel like surely everybody knows this, but I think one of the things you also want to point out to us right now is to leave places wherever we visit better off than when we arrived. So that's a good value for us to exercise.
It is a good value, and if you think as part of a holistic approach to well-being, if we want our environments to support us, we need to support the environment.
Mm.
And so, making sure that we are cleaning up our mess, leaving the place better off than when we arrived, and we think about. If you just think about the animals that are also coming into those areas, if we want to keep the animals that are not supposed to be in in the areas that we're frequenting away, then we also want to make sure that we're not leaving food around and things like that
Mm.
that will keep bringing them back. So, we want to keep animals that are supposed to be further away, and foraging for their own food somewhere else. And we don't want them necessarily coming into the areas that we're going to be frequenting.
Just as we wrap up the series together, Wendy, we get caught up in the things that we like to do. You know, I run or I ride my bike, but there are also other things that that we should be able to explore as we go into this holiday time, where maybe we've got a bit more time to go and do something a little bit different, something that might be more relaxing, or something that'll really help us mentally as well as emotionally as we move our bodies.
Yes, and I think to make it enjoyable, to change it up, this is a time to experiment and to see what else you could potentially be doing. So there's so many different options. You could look at hiking if you've never hiked before, or swimming in different places. Yoga on the grass.
Hmm.
For those people that are not wanting to be that active, you can go for a picnic, or, barefoot grounding, gardening. We can combine movement and relaxing activities as well. And sitting out in nature and journaling or praying, or, there's so many different things that we can do, that we can just have more time to do, if we just think about it.
As the voice of Dr. Wendy Christian, health coach and wellness practitioner at Integrated Health Solution, reminding us there's things we need to remember, things we need to be aware of, but at the bottom of it all, make sure we're well prepared, so that not only do we go out there and make great memories, but that it's fun and we enjoy ourselves. Wendy, I've loved the series. Thank you so much for this. We look forward to, we still have one more week together, do we?
We do still have one more week
Cool.
together.
All right, just checking. There's time gets weird in December. I don't know when's this ending and when's that beginning. We look forward to wrapping up the year with you next week. Have yourself a wonderful day and a super week ahead. Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks, Brad. Have a great week too.
That's the voice of Dr.